The most dangerous thing in space is this. There is a planet out there where the temperature swings from freezing cold to 2,000 degrees in less than 6 hours. Another one where it rains glass at supersonic speeds. One that was swallowed alive by its own star and survived. And one that has 3 suns, meaning darkness never comes and your shadow splits into 3 different directions simultaneously. None of this is science fiction. These are real planets, confirmed by real telescopes. And they are so strange that the scientists who found them had to rewrite the rules of how planets are even supposed to work. Most space content shows you the beautiful side of the universe, the stunning nebulae, the golden rings of Saturn, the pale blue dot of Earth from a distance. What nobody shows you is the genuinely disturbing side, the planets that should not exist. The worlds that defy every model we have built, and the places where the laws of physics seem to have taken a very wrong turn. I went through the latest exoplanet research and pulled the most mind-breaking discoveries ever confirmed. By the end of this video, you will never look at our solar system the same way again. Stay with me, because the last planet on this list has no star at all, and it is still on fire. Start with a planet that is slowly being tortured to death on a schedule. HD 80606b is known among astronomers as the Whiplash Planet, and the moment you understand its orbit, you will know exactly why. Every planet in our solar system, including Earth, travels in a roughly circular path around the Sun. Predictable, stable, the distance barely changes. HD 80606b does the opposite. Its orbit is stretched into an extreme oval, more like the path of a comet than a planet, and the consequences of that shape are almost incomprehensible. For about 100 days, the planet drifts slowly outward into cold, dark space. Then it begins its dive. Over the course of just 20 hours, it accelerates toward the star at terrifying speed. In just 6 hours, the temperature on the star facing side rockets from roughly 500 degrees Celsius to over 1,100. The star blasts the planet with more than 800 times the energy Earth receives from the winds. Erupt from the hot zone at speeds of nearly 18,000 kilometers per hour as the atmosphere tries to cope with a heat surge it was never designed to handle. Then, almost as fast as it began, the planet flies away and the temperature collapses again. What makes this genuinely baffling is that it should not still be happening. The gravity of the star should have circularized this orbit over time. Scientists believe it is unusually rigid rather than pliable, meaning it fights back against the tidal forces trying to reshape it. It could be trapped in this torture loop for another 10 billion years, a planet being slowly cooked and frozen on repeat, indefinitely, with no way out. That is disturbing, but the next one crosses into something closer to nightmare. TRES 2b is the darkest planet ever discovered, and the darkness is the least explained thing about it. This gas giant sits close to its star, with surface temperatures above 980 degrees Celsius. It is roughly the size of Jupiter, and it reflects less than 1% of the light that hits it. Darker than coal, darker than black paint, darker than almost any material we can manufacture on Earth. If you floated near it in space, you would not see a black sphere. You would see almost nothing at all, except perhaps a faint ember red glow from the heat it radiates, like a burning coal sitting in complete darkness. What causes this? Scientists believe the extreme heat prevents reflective clouds from forming. Instead, the atmosphere is filled with light-absorbing chemicals, vaporized sodium, potassium, titanium oxide baked into gas. But here is the part researchers cannot fully explain. Even accounting for all those chemicals combined, the planet is still darker than their models predict. Something is absorbing light on TRES 2b that we have not identified. A planet that is both genuinely black and genuinely mysterious, floating in space 750 light-years away, swallowing light and offering no explanation. Now consider what hot burning ice actually means, because it is happening on a real planet right now. Gliese 436b, also known as Oahu, is roughly the size of Neptune. It sits dangerously close to its star, only about 3% of the distance between Earth and the Sun. The surface temperature is around 440 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead. And yet scientists believe the interior of this planet is made of solid ice. Not because it is cold inside, because the gravitational pressure is so crushing that water molecules are physically forced into a solid state regardless of temperature. The heat and the solidity exist simultaneously, occupying the same space, defying the intuition that ice and extreme heat are opposites. But the strangeness does not stop at the interior. The planet's atmosphere is chemically wrong, filled with carbon monoxide, instead of the methane that every planetary model predicts should dominate at these conditions. Its orbit is perpendicular to the star's equator, meaning it circles over the poles instead of around the middle, which is not how planets are supposed to behave. And the star is blasting it so aggressively that a tail of hydrogen gas trails behind the planet, stretching over 12 million kilometers, making it look like an enormous comet drifting through space. Astronomers believe something hit this planet, a massive hidden companion, that knocked it out of its original safe orbit and flung it into this dangerous path, where it is now being slowly consumed by the star it circles. The culprit has never been found. It is hiding somewhere in the dark while Oahu pays the price. WASP-17b breaks a different rule entirely. Every planet in our solar system orbits the Sun in the same direction that the Sun spins. This is not a coincidence, it is a consequence of how solar systems form, from a rotating disk of gas and dust where everything inherits the same spin. WASP-17b orbits its star in the completely opposite direction, retrograde, backwards, as if someone reached into the system and reversed it. The planet itself is almost twice as wide as Jupiter, making it one of the largest planets ever found, but it contains only half of Jupiter's mass, making it so extraordinarily light and puffy that its density is lower than water, meaning if you could find a bathtub large enough, this planet would float. An enormous backwards orbiting world with the density of a beach ball, wrapped in an atmosphere where the James Webb Space Telescope detected actual clouds made of quartz crystals forming directly from vaporized gas, glass clouds, in a planet orbiting the wrong way. The leading explanation is a catastrophic near collision early in the system's history, a gravitational struggle that flung this world into its reversed path and puffed it up in the process. Whatever happened, the evidence suggests WASP-17b has had a violent past and is now drifting through space in the wrong direction. Enormous and strangely light, raining silica crystals through its upper atmosphere. Then there is Koi 55, a planet that was literally swallowed by its star and came out the other side. Approximately 18 million years ago, the star it orbited expanded into a red giant, a phase where dying stars balloon outward to enormous size. Koi 55 did not merely get close to this expanding star, it was engulfed, plunged deep into the star's outer layers, surrounded by plasma, burning from every direction simultaneously. Most objects in that position are simply destroyed, vaporized, torn apart, absorbed. Koi 55 survived. The star stripped away everything except the rocky core, which endured the inferno and emerged on the other side, now orbiting its star in less than 6 hours, completing a full year in the time it takes us to have a long day. Even now, millions of years later, the surface temperature of this survivor sits at approximately 6,700 degrees Celsius. It is still radiating the heat of the event that should have killed it. And finally, the planet with no star, PSJ 318-522, does not orbit anything. It was either ejected from its home system shortly after forming, or it coalesced alone in the empty void between stars with no sun to circle and no system to belong to. It drifts through complete darkness, separated from any star by light years of empty space, utterly alone. You might expect a young planet like this to be frozen and inactive, but it is not. At just 23 million years old, it still glows with leftover heat from its formation. It is Jupiter-sized but about 8 times more massive, with rapid brightness changes suggesting giant storms across its atmosphere. Scientists think these storms may involve exotic clouds like vaporized iron cycling in extreme heat on a world with no sun. We are seeing a universe of bizarre worlds that break the rules we once believed to be. If this changed how you see the universe, share it with someone who still thinks space is mostly empty and boring. And watch this next. It covers the most terrifying stars ever discovered, and what happens to anything unfortunate enough to orbit them.